Hey, you guys, I just wanted to share something with you. I was just leaving my place, and I ran into my roommate, Judy. She just got back home from taking her daughter's doggie, Luna. Luna is staying with us for the weekend, and her daughter dropped her off at our place. We get to see Luna all the time. She's a cutie, little white Pekingese. Anyway, as I was going out the door, Judy and I got in a discussion because she was telling me about how Kevin's my other roommate. She and Kevin, they married after high school, college, something like that. They both are from New York, and they went to the same high school, and Judy was that best dressed high school girl, and Kevin, he was the athlete and all that, and things are a lot different, for them now. They're both 62 years old, and things change over time, and they go down memory lane sometimes in their own heads and with each other. And Kevin and her, they actually had divorced, like, man, I think they said maybe 13 or 14 years ago, somewhere around there. And they divorced, and that's when their kids were, still pretty young. They're both in their 20s now, and of course out of the house and all that, and doing their own thing, and quite successful for young people. I'm just like, what? Their daughter she's 25 and makes about $800,000 a year. Kevin was telling me, which 25 years old, $800,000 a year. Oh my goodness, And their son, he's on his way to being a multi-millionaire, and he's like 22 years old. Oh boy, almost hit me. So anyway, somebody was pulling out, almost hit me. So anyway, going down. So sometimes I'll be talking to Judy, especially because she goes down memory lane with me about things. She and Kevin, they've been roommates for years. They both have their own rooms. They don't have any intimate life together at all. Not at all. They're just, but they get along. They put their differences aside. They decided, hey, let's why don't we do the roommate thing? We'll have our own rooms. We'll get another roommate, and somebody that can kind of just be someone else to have in our company in here, that way it didn't make it look like they're a couple living together, and so we have a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath place. I have a master room upstairs, and I have my own bathroom, and Kevin and Judy, they have their own little rooms, and they share the hallway center bathroom, and then we have another restroom downstairs that doesn't have a shower in it. It's called a townhome. And so we all share the rent together, because we live right close to the ocean, and living by the ocean can be pretty expensive. Just because Kevin and Judy, they used to be millionaires, but they made mistakes in the past, and that's probably what kind of broke them apart too. And not just money, but who blames who made a mess? Why do we lose all this money and stuff? Now they're doing okay again, but they're definitely not at the level they used to be. Just like me. I used to own a business. I had a hair and tanning salon combination, tanning beds and hair salon, and I did it all when I was really young. I was 26 years old when I started my business, and I started making a lot of money. Sorry about coughing. And anyway, I drink a pre-workout drink, and so sometimes it kind of, that powdery, I shake it up, and it sometimes still feels like it's in my throat. So anyway, it has this L-arginine powder in it. L-arginine, which is an amino acid that when you digest it helps your body to produce what's called nitric oxide. And if you've ever wanted a great pre-workout amino acid, L-arginine, I like it. I won't recommend it to you because, I'm not Mr. Health doctor guy or anything expert that can recommend you should take this, and then you take it and it has reverse effects on you. But I'm just saying I like it. So anyway, back to my story. So Judy, she's talking about how Kevin called her last night when she was already asleep. It was his birthday was just recent, and a friend of his missed his birthday, and so he wanted to make it up to him and invited him over to the house and stuff like that. And I think they had one too many drinks, and it was good that Kevin called Judy to ask for a ride home, but she's with Luna, the little puppy, and they're asleep, and I was already sleeping. I try to go to bed as early as I can every night, so I shoot for 8 hours of sleep. So he needed a ride home, and she's like, well, why don't you call Uber? The guy's house is really close to ours. Uber wouldn't cost Kevin nothing, but she said he got upset and hung up on her. So okay, that's what drinking does, right? Some people don't know that drinking alters their personalities and can cause them to be not just nice and great all the time, but sometimes you get a little mean. And people that have drinking problems, they rarely see this in themselves, which causes relationship disasters and other disasters as well. Unfortunately, it's really hard to wake up people when they're in denial, right? Very, very difficult, because they usually blame everybody else for most everything in life. Some people call it narcissism, A narcissist can never apologize. Everything's everybody else's fault. They have no problem taking from you, but giving back is something that they rarely do unless they're getting something in return, right? And then the whole mentality of I'm not saying this is a narcissist thing. If you have alcohol problems in your life, where it's an addiction and all that, the problem is when you don't believe you need help, or you've tricked yourself into thinking you don't need help. Because an alcohol addiction, it's just proven. It causes so many problems for people. Perhaps even my roommates, they can vouch for that because both of them know. But still, I never hear either one of them ever say, you know what, I had a drinking problem. I never hear that, although both of them do. Anyway, I love them both. But so Judy, she's going down memory lane with me. Let's forget about Kevin getting upset and hanging up on her and all that other stuff. But hey, just to say, if you do have a drinking problem and you're in denial about it, please, man, don't be offended I say this. Just try to get help. Try to get help, right? Step one, realize that it's not helping you in life. So realize you need real help. Alcohol, addiction, drunkenness, it's not doing you any favors. It pretends it's your friend, but it robs you of money, robs you of health, robs you of relationships. And the reason it's robbing you is you're not kicking it out of your life. You're allowing it to stick around. And if you say, I don't allow it, it's got power over me. Well, how did it get power over you in the first place? Do you really want alcohol to be your master, your Lord, your God? If it has power over you, what do you call that? Your boss? Whatever label you want to give it, your husband, your wife, I don't know. But, some people do. I've actually had people that I've been in relationships that chose alcohol as a husband, because, I date women, and so I've been with women, or one woman anyway in particular, that chose alcohol as a husband instead of me. So we're not together anymore. Alcohol is her husband, lives for it, and unfortunately was in complete denial about it ever really being a problem. Although maybe a couple times she said it was, but she never got help and refuses to get help because she doesn't need help. She's got this thing. And so her and alcohol, they're together still, and that's her relationship. Although there's other men that she's had in her life. I mean, she told me, but right when I cut it off, finally, she gave me an ultimatum, you need to figure out what you want in this relationship. And I'm like, is there another guy or something? And you better believe there's another guy. And she told me all the time that everybody, all these guys at the gym are always looking at her and asking for her phone number. And a couple of them she gave her phone number to, but just to be friends. And I had to be cool with it, because they're those kind of guys that, they've got useful information that can help me in life with certain things. So that's why I gave my phone number out to them. I'm like, okay. So, oh boy, some people, they trick themselves. And I think that a lot of times with alcohol, people trick themselves trying to make excuses. Well, it helps me to sleep. It makes me feel better. I reward myself. I had a bad day. I had a bad childhood, and that's your way of rewarding yourself. But really, is it truly a reward, or are you punishing yourself? Think about it. So anyway, Judy, going back to Judy, she said that, Kevin and her were looking at pictures from the past, going down, memory lane together. And she's like, you know what? She says, I didn't realize what a good looking woman I was when I was younger. I'm like, you didn't? She says, no. She says, when I was looking at this picture Kevin had, she asked Kevin, man, did I really look like that? And Kevin's like, yeah, you are a good looking woman. And Judy looks at him. She says, she said to him, well, how come you never told me that? And he says, that's because you already knew it and I didn't want to give you a big head. And Judy's like, she tells me, she says, I didn't know I was. I never heard it from my husband. My husband was afraid to give me a big head. She says, so I've been insecure about my looks all these years. And I'm like, hey, Judy, I said, I'm not saying I'm a good looking guy. I said, but I was married in the past too. And I remember my wife saying the same exact thing to me. She didn't want to tell me that I was a good looking guy because I already knew I was, according to her, and she didn't want to give me a big head. Right? And that's what I wanted to talk about, you guys, is, are you afraid of giving somebody, as they call, a big head? A swollen up, proud, boastful, that's what a big head is. I don't want to puff them up with pride and make them think that they're all that, so that they'll think, well, everybody wants me. If my wife thinks I'm good looking, well, then everybody must, so I'm going to leave her because I can get anybody I want. That is a mistake. That is a mistake. And if you ladies want to know why, take it from a man. And listen, men, you can apply this to yourselves. Women, you can apply this to yourselves. So whoever's watching, man or woman, take my advice. If you have a significant other in your life, please do not be afraid to compliment them. If you are afraid that if you compliment them or tell them how beautiful they are, what a fantastic body they might have, how much you love them, how much you appreciate them, even if it's just the smallest little things, I assure you, you are not doing anything destructive. If you believe that complimenting your significant other will do nothing but puff them up and all that, I would have to say you're making a big mistake. And if you say, well, you don't understand, my significant other is a narcissist, I can't say it because they already know it. Well, what are you doing with a narcissist then? Being with a narcissist, that's a, oh boy, I've been in probably 2 relationships with narcissists, and narcissists, they're always drawn to empaths. And through doing a lot of discovery about myself, through getting help, through others, I never knew I was an empath till I was told over and over and over again, you're an empath, dude. And the reason narcissists are drawn to you is because They're drawn to empaths. Narcissists, they take, they never apologize, they're never wrong. They're always telling you you're wrong no matter what. You'll never hear an apology from them. And I'm like, whoa, that's true. The two people I ever was in a relationship with, these two different females that were narcissists, not to label them, is just what it is. I'm like, I never heard an apology from them. They were never wrong. Boy, that's incredible. Anytime they gave to me in any small way, it was always to get something in return. And when I gave to them, it was so normal for them to get from me. It wasn't like, hey, thank you so much, I appreciate you. It was almost like, when's the next gift coming? When's the next one? It was just never good enough. And narcissists, they'll always tell you how worthless you are, how you're worthless, good for nothing, whatever names they call you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I heard that so many times and it just got so old. That's where I'm like, you know what? I'm done. And a narcissist also, they always have somebody else lined up, right? They're usually involved in some kind of way with somebody else. Whether it's a man that's a narcissist, he has another woman usually. And if it's a woman that's a narcissist, she usually has another man lined up. I was in a relationship, my last relationship I was in, that was what happened to me. I was given an ultimatum. You need to hurry up and decide what you're going to do with this relationship. After, it was like, man, for a whole year, I didn't even see this person for a year. Not a year, but I got text messages for a year about, what a no good, worthless nothing I was. And for a full year, you guys. And after hearing that over and over and over again, I'm just like, this person hates me. They don't love me. If they do love me, it sure doesn't seem like it. And then the ultimatum that I need to hurry up and figure things out. I'm like, is there another guy or something? And when she said, you better believe it, I'm like, oh, there's another man. And I'm like, why didn't I learn from my past relationship? Because there was always another person in line for a narcissist, because they need somebody to give them supply, whether it's to feed their ego or to feed their financial, their bank or whatever. They'll have you paying their rent for them. They'll have you sending flowers, gifts all the time. You won't see those things come back to you in return, but they'll take. Anyway, that's just I don't know why I went on that little tangent, but maybe that's for one of you out there, because I've been there myself. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes through relationships I've been in, but when you make mistakes and the other person will not forgive you, won't let it go, always rubs it in your face. You know what? Even if you are sorry from your heart and done everything in your power to prove it, and it's still not good enough, you got to move on. And that's sad when that other person, they never saw that they had a part in the relationship disaster, and all they are doing is, when's the next guy? I got the next guy in line. Next. And and then they're 50 years old, then they're 60 years old, then they're 70 years old, and they're still doing the same things over and over again, hoping for different results, but having a relationship disaster. It's like, well, maybe it's time you look at yourself instead of everybody else. Take a good look at yourself and say, maybe there's something about my character that needs a little help. But if they are a narcissist, it's practically impossible. It's possible, I believe, although I've never seen a narcissist myself. I've never seen one truly develop and change their character. But I believe it's possible, because all things are possible through God, right? But you really, really, really got to truly want the help, right? You just can't think, well, I don't need help. I'm already good to go. Everybody else needs to change. I'm going to keep on going with the way I'm going because I'm doing everything right. That's just denial. That's trickery. And hey, a whole bunch of those people, they actually have drinking problems. That's their whole thing. Well, I'm going back to alcohol because alcohol understands me and I understand it. We get each other. So, you know, like I was saying, I've been with somebody that they chose alcohol over me because alcohol, that's that person's husband. Even if there's other men involved, like she said, that she had somebody else already, it's still, that person's not gonna be the one that finally wins her over when it comes between her and alcohol. It just won't happen. You know, so that you really truly need help. Anyway, hey, you know, something good came out of that kind of relationship because I haven't touched alcohol in a long time. It's been way over a year for me, and I feel great. I'm happy that I don't, you know, anymore for myself. I don't know. I'm not talking about you, but just for me, I'm better off not even having it at all in my life. And so that might actually lead me into what I want to share with you, because I'm talking about giving somebody a puffed up head, you know, and you don't want to swell them up or whatever however the saying goes, a puffed up head, a swollen head. So this is a fact, and this is the truth, and anybody that's out there that's a bodybuilder, okay? I'm not saying just body, because a lot of people that are bodybuilders, they understand about developing their mind, and they also understand having a strong foundation in the spirit, developing their mind, their soul, and their bodies follow. That's something that I actually have been able to develop, especially after getting out of the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. I really started understanding things better, and now I'm in the best shape of my life in every aspect, and I'm still a work in process in every aspect. So trust me, but I'm at the best place I've ever been. I'm not saying it's done. I'm at the final place. I'm great. No, I'm not saying that. I'm a work in progress, which keeps me growing mentally, even physically. And at my age, people usually say that's impossible. But well, I guess I'm proving I'm wrong. So I go to the gym, and since about a little over a year ago, I was 30 pounds. I weighed 30 pounds more than I do now, which is incredible because I didn't have a weight problem. I was a very lean guy. You could see all of my abs and all that back then. The weirdest thing is I'm now 30 pounds lighter, and it's not because I've lost my muscles. I quit working out. I'm eating only vegetables. No, it has nothing to do with that. I actually, when I stopped drinking alcohol, my body started changing. Even my mind started changing. And then I tuned in my diet really, really well. Years ago, I was told I had low testosterone by when I got a physical and blood work done by a doctor. I had severely low testosterone, and you know, and taking testosterone and all that as what do they call it? TR, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. So TRT therapy, you know, they start you off maybe like they did with me. I was 40 at the time, and I didn't even like, I don't like going to doctors now, but I didn't like it back then. But I found out when I was 40, I had a severely low thyroid, severely low testosterone. The doctor looked at me and he didn't even believe I had that. He's like, wait, there's something wrong. They must have mixed up your lab. So they redid the test. And sure enough, man, dude, your testosterone, you have the testosterone of a 75-year-old man with low testosterone. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And then he says that my thyroid was really low, you know, and I'm thinking, does that make me not normal? He says this happens to a lot of people. It's, you know, and I didn't say it to him, but I'm thinking, man, I wonder when I was 30, you know, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, Jehovah's Witnesses, well, we never talked about testosterone or anything like that, boosting it or anything like that, you know. I never heard anybody talk about that, but I did remember that I attempted suicide 5 times, and I was hospitalized, and I had a lot of bad things happen to me. You know, I had bad liver damage, I had loss of feeling throughout my body, you know, nerve damage and all this stuff. Listen, it took a toll on me. I don't share a lot of these things with you guys, but I damaged myself pretty bad when I attempted suicide 5 times. And don't think that I'm just like, everything's great today. You know, the suicide attempt, I have things on me that that haven't gone away yet, that are the residual effects of doing that. I just don't talk about it a lot, you know, not out of shame or anything like that. It's just something that I just don't talk about a lot, right? So I don't want people feeling sorry for me or even getting ideas in their head. What a great idea. Maybe I should do that. No, 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 never, never. Because you do something like that, you just might be cutting yourself off from understanding that you had a purpose after all. So anyway, with that, I found out recently that people that do, and this is going to offend a whole bunch of people perhaps, but even the Bible says that in the last days, listen to me on this. I'm not encouraging meat eating. I'm not discouraging it. I'm not encouraging vegan diets. I'm not discouraging it. But what I am saying is the Bible says this, that in the last days, there will be people that forbid you to eat meat. The forbidding of the eating of meat, right? And this will come through wicked men, deceptive men, people with an antichrist spirit in there. You'll think, oh, they're Christians recommending this and saying we shouldn't be doing that, and it sounds so good, you know. And well, they're forbidding it, and that's you know. So you figure that one out. So anyway, and it's going on a lot today. You don't know how many people I talk to that forbid eating meat. But anyway, I'm trying this carnivore thing. I've been on this carnivore diet for about 3 months now, almost 3 months, and yeah, I've never personally, my body health is amazing, and I never get gas. I don't have any stomach issues. I have no problems. I feel great. It's amazing. I feel better than I ever have. So I don't know. It's only been 3 months so far, but you know, it's supposedly this naturopath whose hair I do, a naturopath doctor. Have you ever heard of them? I'm cutting his hair, and he says it will naturally raise testosterone levels. Supposedly, he says it works, but you got to stick strict to it. And he says, and a lot of people that were on TRT therapy switched to carnivore diet, and they don't need that TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, anymore. So and there's a lot of women that it's worked for too. There are women that take testosterone, right? And then they have side effects from it, and they take it for whatever different reasons. But anyhow, now I'm not promoting this. I'm not encouraging you to get off it, whatever therapy you're taking. I'm just sharing my own thing, but this is why I shared it. Because I go to the gym. My exercises haven't changed. I still exercise. I work out the same as I always have. The only thing that's changed in me, as far as anything when it comes to exercise and diet, is I quit drinking. And when I quit drinking, I watched my waist go from a 32-inch waist to now a 29-inch waist. And then also, when I started carnivore, my waist had already reached a 29, but now everything in my body it tightened up, right? I mean, I have these veins that are inside my abs popping out. It's really weird. I'm like, God, my abs are vascular, and I'm 50 years old, and everybody's telling me this is impossible. I'm like, you know what? No. So anyway, here's what I want to get at. When I go in the gym, I'm having a lot of people stopping me and complimenting me, saying how symmetrical I am because I work everything out, my legs, my upper body, and how lean I am, and you must be super disciplined and all that. And I'm just like, you know, it's a mindset. I'm like, thank you. I always tell people, thank you so much. Because usually people are afraid of, if you say a compliment somebody, they have an ego already. And I'm like, you know, here's the fact, is most bodybuilders, and if you do bodybuilding, you already understand this, most of us already have a low self-esteem usually. And it probably stemmed from childhood. It's rooted in your childhood, right? What you never got to hear from your parents, or even as you grew up, from others, because they don't want to boost your ego when you really never had one in the first place. You didn't know you were loved by your parents. You didn't hear good things by your parents. Nobody else wants to tell you good things because they look at you and say, well, that person already knows it. And then you grow up being this person that never got compliments, and you go to the gym because maybe you think there's something wrong with you. This is the only way I can change my body without going under surgery and changing my face and stuff. You know, usually, not always. Maybe there are some egomaniacs out there in bodybuilding and all that, whatever. But I'm going to tell you the truth, what they're not sharing with you. What they're not sharing with you is probably the majority of bodybuilders, there's something deeply rooted in them that causes them to have insecurity. And when they're at the gym, and even if they're walking with their arms way out with that imaginary lat syndrome, as they call it, and they look all puffed up, and usually, you guys, it's just a costume. It's an outward facade. And see, when you look at somebody and you judge them outwardly, that they must think they're all that and all, and you know, even if they're portraying themselves as that, you're actually judging a book by its cover. You're seeing things carnally. You're not seeing in the spirit, you're seeing in the flesh. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you're looking at outward appearance. And I think we all do that. We all do that. You judge people. Oh, well, that person's obese. And they must be out of control. They must just eat all day and be lazy. When maybe they've tried every diet, they've tried every exercise, and they didn't know they had a low thyroid or low testosterone or whatever it might be, right? They might not be aware of it. And they've been disciplined with their diet, their exercise, and they're not really, it doesn't look like it. So you might judge them and say, oh, they must eat all day and all that, when really you have no idea what they're going through. You know, it can go both ways. You can see the guy in shape and think he thinks he's all that, and then you can see the person that's out of shape and think, oh, well, they're just lazy and eat bad or drink too much or whatever, and you're completely wrong. We judge each other so terribly as people, and it's so sad, and me included. I'm not saying I don't do that. I'm saying, but that's why I'm developing myself, because I want to learn not to judge people. And when you talk to other people at the gym like that, like these people that come up to me and say, you know, you look so different. What are you doing different? You know, and they compliment me, and I say, thank you so much. You don't understand, because I never got to hear these kinds of things throughout my life, because people assume that I already know it, and that's not the truth. And it's really amazing when you talk to somebody and that light goes on. They're like, whoa, you know. They understand. You just enlightened somebody. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to shorten this video because I got to get going. I have to get my workout in, and then I got to go cut some hair today. But I just wanted to let you know, you guys, don't be afraid of complimenting somebody, especially if it is a spouse or somebody you're in a relationship, or your children, right? I mean, whoever it is, or even if you're a boss and you have people working for you, don't think that if you tell them, hey, you're doing a great job, I appreciate you, that's going to make them want to do, oh, well, I guess I'm doing a great job, I can start slacking off. If you believe complimenting people that work for you is going to do damage for your business, you are so wrong. Your employees need to hear that they are doing a great job. You need to start practicing this if you're an employer. And if you're in a relationship, you really need to stop looking at your significant other and saying, I don't want to give them a swollen head because they already know how hot they are and how good looking they are. No, you need to compliment them. You really need to. And if you're thinking, well, I'm not very attracted to my spouse, well, you better start looking for things you are attracted about and start bringing that out to them. Letting them know, hey, I really appreciate that meal. You're such a great cook. Or, hey, I really appreciate, you always make the bed every morning, and I don't realize that you do that for me. I hate making the bed. You always do it. It's these little things, you guys. I could go on and on forever, but I'm just going to cut it out. You figure out the rest. But please, don't be afraid of giving somebody a swollen head, because I'm telling you, that person, most likely, not all the time, but most likely, they need to hear it. They need to hear something good about themselves, especially if it's from you, the one they love, or you, the one that employs them, or you, the pastor, or go on and on and on and on. You get it? All right, you guys. I love you. I thank you for watching. I hope this has blessed somebody out there. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time.